A white cop slaps a black judge, thinking he's untouchable, but his one act ignites a deadly conspiracy. One man's courage could topple a corrupt empire. Watch the truth explode. Is it a courtroom ruling or a fatal verdict? When a racist officer strikes a black judge, he believes it's merely a flash of rage. Yet, he's unaware that this single blow will unravel a network of deceit, reveal a cabal of rogue cops, and drive a city to the edge of turmoil. What follows next? Deceptions, vengeance, and a frantic struggle to survive. For justice isn't handed out, it's seized. Believe me, this tale veers in a direction nobody anticipates. Stay tuned, as you won't want to miss a moment. Share where you're watching from and when you're joining us. Leave a comment below to join the discussion. Cleveland, once a bustling urban center, now stood fractured. It was a city where faith in police had crumbled, and the battle for fairness was relentless. For years, tales of police violence, racial bias, and unchecked power had tormented the community, stoking anger and widening racial divides. Demonstrations were routine, with activists demanding reform, while police, shielded by strong unions, fought against any change. At the heart of this conflict was Judge Benjamin Carter, a respected African-American federal judge, renowned for his steadfast dedication to justice. Carter had devoted his career to combating systemic prejudice, gaining both supporters and adversaries in the legal world. His decisions were just but resolute, winning admiration from underserved groups, but scorn from many in law enforcement. He was a man of integrity, unyielding despite challenges. However, his pursuit of justice carried a price. Carter's wife, Elizabeth, and their 17-year-old daughter, Emily, were used to the threats tied to his role. Hate letters, anonymous calls, and online abuse were commonplace. Still, Carter never wavered. Not against corrupt officials, not under police union pressure, and certainly not now. On the opposing side was Officer Derek Mason, a seasoned police veteran who epitomized the system's flaws. A staunch defender of the code of silence, he viewed any push for officer accountability as disloyalty. Mason was deeply connected to a covert group within the department, cops who saw the justice system as a hurdle, not a protector. To him, Carter wasn't merely a judge, he was a foe of policing, whose rulings threatened the institution Mason vowed to uphold. As the trial of Officer Kyle Bennett approached its end, Cleveland braced for the repercussions. Bennett, a young officer, faced charges of excessive force against an unarmed black teen, captured on body cam footage that had sparked weeks of protests. The prosecution presented compelling evidence, yet many in the police force expected a not guilty verdict, convinced their colleague would escape punishment. The courthouse atmosphere was stifling. Rows of uniformed officers packed the gallery, their stiff postures and tight jaws showing their contempt for the trial. Across from them sat the victim's family, grieving, yearning for justice, hoping the system would finally deliver. Judge Carter sat at the bench, his face impassive as he prepared to announce the verdict. Cameras recorded, reporters jotted notes, and the nation watched. Unknown to him, this decision would reshape his life and unleash a firestorm that would engulf Cleveland. What happened next stunned the world. For some, when confronted with justice, would rather destroy everything than face accountability. The courtroom buzzed with heavy, oppressive tension. Every seat was taken, every gaze fixed on Judge Benjamin Carter as he readied to deliver the verdict in one of Cleveland's most divisive trials. The case against Officer Kyle Bennett had laid bare the city's deep rifts, fueling fierce debates over police responsibility, race, and fairness. For weeks, protests had surged through Cleveland's streets, some calm, others volatile. The nation was riveted. On one side, the victim's family sat, hands clasped in quiet prayer, faces marked by sorrow and hope. Their son, Jamal Harris, was only 17 when Officer Bennett pinned him down and applied a deadly chokehold. The body cam video had rocked the city, driving weeks of unrest. Opposite them, uniformed officers filled the gallery, their faces stern, their stances rigid. They weren't there for justice. They were there to signal defiance, to Judge Carter, the public, and anyone challenging their authority. Judge Carter cleared his throat, his voice steady as he delivered the verdict. Based on the evidence, this court finds Officer Kyle Bennett guilty of manslaughter and civil rights violations. Gasps rippled through the room, followed by whispers, then loud outbursts. An officer in the back leapt up. "This is an outrage!" he shouted. Another spat on the floor. The air crackled with hostility, a silent threat. Judge Carter struck his gavel. "Silence!" he ordered, his voice slicing through the uproar. But Officer Derek Mason wasn't listening. Rage surged as he clutched the railing, his jaw clenched. To him, this wasn't just about Bennett. It was a betrayal of all police. He saw Carter as a crusader in robes, favoring criminals over officers risking their lives daily. As Carter rose to leave the bench, Mason shoved past his colleagues, his boots pounding the polished floor as he charged forward. "You're a filthy traitor," Mason snarled, his voice caught by cameras. Before Carter could respond, it happened. Crack! The slap rang out, echoing off the marble walls. The courtroom froze, a deafening silence following. For a moment, Carter stood still, his head turned from the blow, his cheek stinging red. The crowd gasped. "My God, he struck him!" someone whispered. Reporters fumbled for phones, racing to record. Cameras, already rolling, captured the scene in sharp detail. Carter slowly faced Mason, his expression steady. He didn't falter or strike back. He just stared. Mason, breathing hard, fists tight, hadn't yet grasped the gravity of his act. Chaos erupted. Officers surged forward, some pulling Mason back, others glaring at Carter as if he'd earned it. Carter's security team stepped in, blocking further attacks. "You assaulted a federal judge," an officer muttered, dread in his voice. A flicker of panic crossed Mason's face, but it was too late. "Officer Mason, stand down," a superior yelled. Reporters, jostling each other, uploaded the footage. Within minutes, it was online. Within hours, it was viral. The Cleveland Police Department was in disarray. Half the officers quietly cheered Mason, viewing his act as righteous. The other half knew the fallout would be brutal. The slap became a national scandal overnight. News channels looped the clip. White officer slaps black federal judge in shocking courtroom assault. Social media ignited. Some demanded Mason's firing. Others called him a hero against corruption. Protesters swarmed the courthouse within hours. Some held justice for Jamal signs. Others waved "Protect our police" banners. Cleveland was a tinderbox, and Mason had struck the match. The slap was inescapable. By evening, when Judge Benjamin Carter reached home, the video had millions of views. Every news outlet ran non-stop coverage of the shocking event. Talk shows analyzed it, pundits debated its impact, and social media blazed. Hashtags like #Justice for Carter and #Back. The blue trended together, showing a deeply divided nation. At home, Carter set his briefcase down, rubbing his cheek where Officer Derek Mason had hit him. His wife, Elizabeth, stood by the kitchen counter, arms folded, silently watching the news. The house felt heavy with unspoken tension. "They're painting you as the villain," she said softly, her voice controlled. Carter sighed, approaching the TV. It showed a split screen, the slap on repeat, and analysts debating its meaning. A conservative pundit defended Mason. "This judge has attacked police for years. What did he expect? Officers like Mason are fed up." Another fired back. "A cop hitting a sitting judge? This isn't anger. It's an attack on democracy. Elizabeth faced him, her eyes fierce. This is getting out of hand, Benjamin. Before he could reply, his phone buzzed loudly. Another call, another voicemail. Threats had begun hours after the verdict, some mere insults, others chillingly dark. He checked the latest. Think it's done? You're in for a surprise. Carter locked his phone, forcing calm. He'd faced threats before, but this felt different. By morning, Cleveland was a war zone. Protesters clogged the streets. Activists demanded Mason's arrest, waving "Justice for Jamal" signs and chanting, "No justice, no peace." Their anger had built for years, and this was their breaking point. Across from them, police supporters, including off-duty cops, rallied with blue line flags and pro-police chants. "Protect our police! Carter's a disgrace!" they shouted, holding signs vilifying Carter or praising Mason. By noon, protests turned violent. A bottle shattered near police barriers. Riot-geared officers advanced, shields up, batons ready. Protesters pushed back, demanding Mason's arrest. A gunshot rang out. Screams followed. Panic spread like wildfire. Police charged, launching tear gas and rubber bullets. Protesters fled or fought. By dusk, dozens were arrested, several hurt. Cleveland had lost control. Inside the Cleveland Police Department, the chaos was intense. Derek Mason was suspended, but many officers backed him. Some openly praised his act. Others stayed quiet, fearing for their jobs. Officer Michael Torres, among the few opposing Mason, saw officers whispering in the break room. "They're rallying behind him," he muttered. His partner, Officer Sarah Collins, nodded. "It's more than that," she said. "They're plotting something." The department was splitting. Some officers ignored calls from certain areas. Others skipped anti-police protest dispatches. Chief William Hayes called an urgent meeting. Standing sternly, he addressed the force. "We're at a breaking point," he said. "Restore order now, or we lose Cleveland." An officer scoffed from the back. "We'd be fine if that judge shut up." Murmurs of agreement spread. Hayes's jaw tightened. He knew loyalties were divided, even among senior officers who favored vigilante justice. That was the true danger. That night, Carter worked late in his home office when Emily screamed from the living room. "Dad, come quick!" He raced downstairs, heart pounding. Emily pointed outside. A black sedan, headlights off, was parked across the street. "Someone's been there for an hour," she whispered. Carter's blood chilled. He peeked through the curtain, spotting a phone's glow inside. Someone taking photos. Elizabeth joined him, her voice shaking. "They're watching us, Benjamin." Carter called the police, but he knew no help was coming. As Cleveland burned, as the police fractured, as threats closed in, Judge Carter realized one thing. This wasn't about the slap anymore. It was war. The past few days weighed heavily on Judge Benjamin Carter. The slap was jarring, but the aftermath, threats, surveillance, a sense of a larger scheme, unsettled him most. He'd handled big cases, faced angry defendants, and clashed with police who disliked his rulings. But this was different. This wasn't mere opposition, it was coordinated. His phone rang constantly. Unknown numbers, threats, reporters. Elizabeth kept blinds drawn, doors locked even in daylight. Emily stopped attending school after a black SUV tailed her for a mile. Police called it a coincidence, but Carter knew better. Someone was tracking them. At the Cleveland Police Department, Officer Michael Torres started piecing things together. He'd long suspected some officers followed a code, shielding their own no matter what. But recently, he saw something darker, not just loyalty, but control. Officers who questioned decisions were sidelined. Those reporting misconduct faced discipline, transfers, or false charges. The slap made it clear. Days after the courtroom clash, Torres got a cryptic text from an unknown number. They've planned this for ages. Meet me in 30 minutes, alone. He hesitated, sensing a trap, but his gut urged him on. If an insider was ready to talk, he had to listen. The meeting was in a shadowy parking garage, a place where people vanished. Torres arrived, spotting a nervous young man in a hoodie pacing by cars. Approaching, the man turned, eyes scanning. "You Torres?" he asked quietly. "Yeah," Torres replied. "Who are you?" The man lowered his hood, revealing Officer Ethan Walsh, a rookie with 2 years on the force. They'd never spoken before. "I've got little time," Walsh said, pressing a flash drive into Torres's hand. "This is all I have. I overheard them. Mason was a diversion. They're planning something big." Torres's stomach sank. "Who's they?" Walsh's face paled. He whispered, "The Brotherhood." Torres had heard whispers. A secret group in the Cleveland Police Department. Officers who twisted the law for gain, threatening judges, silencing reporters, burying scandals so deep even the FBI couldn't dig them up. Until now, it was rumor. This was evidence. That night, Torres opened the flash drive on his laptop. Files flooded the screen. Emails, texts, surveillance of Carter's family. His pulse raced as he played an audio file, a talk between Mason and a senior officer. "The slap was the start," a cold voice said. "We need a stronger message. He won't survive his next ruling." Torres froze. This wasn't a threat. It was a murder plot. His mind spun. Reporting to the wrong person could end his life. Half the department was tainted. He had to reach Judge Carter directly. He dialed. "Judge, it's Torres," he said urgently. "Meet me now. Your life's on the line." Judge Benjamin Carter gripped his phone. Torres's words ringing. "Your life's on the line." He'd felt something off. The car outside, creepy calls, his family trapped at home. But confirmation of an assassination plot made it terrifyingly real. "We need to meet," Torres said. "Tonight. Somewhere safe. I have proof." Carter kept his voice calm. "Not on the phone. St. Paul's Church, midnight." The church was a community haven, safe for a meeting. If Torres was right about the conspiracy's depth, public places were too risky. That night, Carter told Elizabeth and Emily to lock up, then left. He sensed watchers, but stayed composed. He couldn't show fear. The drive to St. Paul's was silent, streets empty. Torres was there, under a street lamp, glancing nervously. "You alone?" Carter asked. Torres nodded. "Had to be. If they know I'm here, I'm done." Carter led him inside, locking the doors. Torres, hands trembling, plugged the flash drive into a laptop. Files appeared. Emails, footage, texts about a final warning for Carter. Then the audio. "The slap was the start. He won't make it to his next ruling." Carter's fists tightened. "Who's they?" Torres's eyes darkened. "The Brotherhood." Carter knew the rumors. A secret police faction, lawless, protecting their own, punishing dissenters. But this was calculated. Deadly. "They're watching your house," Torres said. "Your family. If you don't quit, they'll stage a crime, maybe a break-in. No one will question it." Carter's heart raced. "And Mason?" Torres snorted. "A pawn. He followed orders. Now he's suspended. They're done with him. He's lucky to be alive." Carter felt helpless for the first time. This wasn't just a few bad cops. It was a network ready to kill for power. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. "Time's running out, Judge. Choose wisely." His stomach dropped. They knew. Carter closed the laptop. "We move fast," he told Torres. "Expose them now, or we're dead." Torres nodded, fear in his eyes. This path was a one-way trip. Judge Benjamin Carter had fought for justice his whole career, but now it seemed out of reach. The Brotherhood wasn't a rogue group. It was a machine, operating in shadows, eliminating threats. Carter was next. The flash drive Torres gave him at St. Paul's Church wasn't just evidence. It was a death warrant. It held recordings, footage, and messages plotting his murder. The Brotherhood wouldn't let him reach another verdict. Driving home, Carter's mind raced. He knew corruption existed, but a police faction ordering hits on officials. It was war, with few he could trust. At home, the house was dark, save for the TV's glow. Elizabeth slept on the couch, phone in hand, missed calls flashing. Carter woke her gently. "Benjamin," she mumbled. Seeing his strained face, she sat up. "What's wrong?" He forced the words out. "They're planning to kill me." The words hung heavy, choking the air. Elizabeth stared, stunned, then shook her head. "No, Benjamin, this can't." She stopped, clutching his arm. "How do you know?" He showed her the flash drive. "It's all here. Plans, surveillance. Michael got it from a rookie. They're watching us." Elizabeth paled. "The police won't help?" For the first time, she was terrified for him. "Step down," she whispered. Carter stiffened. "If you quit, we can vanish. Take Emily. Leave Cleveland before they act." She had a point. Resigning might save them, but he couldn't. "If I quit, they win," he said quietly. "Then what?" "They target the next judge, journalist, activist." Elizabeth stood, hugging herself against the truth. "And if you don't quit, Benjamin?" "What happens when they come?" A loud bang cut the night. They froze. Another bang, not a gunshot, something hitting the house. Carter peered outside. Spray painted on the garage in red was "Traitor." His phone buzzed. A video from an unknown number. He played it, stomach twisting. Grainy footage showed Emily walking home, a dark SUV trailing her. A calm voice said, "Choose wisely, Judge." Carter's fists clenched. They'd threatened him before, but now his daughter was a target. Elizabeth gasped, seeing the video. "They know where she is," she whispered. Carter grabbed his coat. "We're getting her." They rushed out, leaving the door unlocked. At Emily's school, she stood outside, unaware of the danger. Carter waved frantically. "Emily, get in now!" Her father's urgency chilled her. She ran to the car. As they drove off, Carter saw the SUV in his mirror. "They're following," Elizabeth said. Carter gripped the wheel, veering onto a side street. The SUV followed. Elizabeth panicked. "They're not stopping." Carter knew this wasn't just a scare. It was a chase. He swerved through a parking lot. The SUV hesitated, then sped up. "We're not going home," Carter said calmly. "Where then?" Elizabeth asked. He glanced at his phone. "Torres, the only cop we can trust." The Brotherhood had erred. They targeted his family. Carter was done hiding. When Judge Benjamin Carter chose to fight, he knew retreat was impossible. The Brotherhood had crossed a line, threatening his family, stalking Emily, defacing his home. They wanted him scared, gone. They misjudged him. Carter drove to Officer Michael Torres's house, the only Cleveland cop he trusted. Torres opened the door, seeing Carter's fear and resolve. "They targeted Emily," Carter said. "This isn't just threats. They'll kill me, Michael. If we don't stop them, they'll keep going." Torres didn't flinch. "We end them. Tonight." At the kitchen table, they scoured the flash drive. Every file revealed a vast conspiracy. The Brotherhood wasn't just rogue cops. It was a corrupt network, reaching city officials, even judges in their pay. "This isn't just Cleveland," Torres said, scanning files. "They operate across cities, moving officers, hiding tracks. They've got FBI contacts." Carter gripped the table. This was bigger than imagined, but they had proof. They knew the stakes. The wrong move could silence them. Waiting too long meant death. Carter called a Department of Justice contact outside Cleveland, untainted. "I need federal protection now." Next morning, Cleveland faced a shockwave. Warrants flew. Federal agents stormed police headquarters, seizing files, phones. High-ranking officers were arrested. Others tried to flee. Derek Mason, once the Brotherhood's enforcer, was cornered. With no allies, he cut a deal, betraying the Brotherhood for leniency. Mason's testimony exposed it all. The Brotherhood's hit list, silencing journalists, framing innocents. Carter didn't just survive, he triumphed. Outside the courthouse, with Elizabeth and Emily beside him, he felt relief. The Brotherhood fell, but his fight continued. Corruption always returns. So would he. Judge Benjamin Carter's story is more than a tale of corruption and justice. It's a stark reminder of today's societal struggles. It underscores the perils of unchecked power, the need to hold authorities accountable, and the bravery required to stand for right against odds. A key lesson is that silence fuels corruption. The Brotherhood grew because fear kept people quiet. Only when Torres and Carter acted, risking careers, reputations, lives, did change emerge. This shows action is vital, whether exposing wrongs, voting for accountable leaders, or backing transparent policies. Another lesson is that justice isn't guaranteed. It's earned. It demands persistence, courage, and collective work. In daily life, this means challenging authority, seeking fairness, and protecting the vulnerable. The story asks, will we fight injustice, even at risk? If not, who will? If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content that shifts views and sparks change. Hit the notification bell to catch every powerful story like this.